Hey everyone, welcome to Notcast 250. It's a big number. Normally when I have a big number, I do a big thing. I do like best gig of my life, or an interview with my brother or something like that. But today, 21st of November, 2022, and instead I'm going to be borrowing questions from an interview with Shirley Manson with another magazine. Here it is, 50 questions with Shirley Manson. As you can see, I don't have a professional stylist, nor do I have the hair. And I'm going to go through the 50 questions that she's got, and I'm going to answer them because I can't think of anything else to do, really, for my 250th Notcast, which 250 is a big number. I can't believe I've got to that number already. And also, of course, I've been doing this for 2 years and a month now. And every few days I talk to my phone and it sits on a shelf. I haven't done one of these for a week. The reason being is on Wednesday last week I went to see a show at the London Palladium. I went to see your man Bono, and that's probably going to be Notcast 251, me talking about the book and the show. On the Thursday I went to see a band called Therapy, Ireland's finest hardcore rock trio. And on the Saturday, I went to a place called Prism in Kingston, which is, amongst other things, a terrible towny nightclub, to see The Wedding Present and their Tales from the Wedding Present Volume 2 book and live show tour. So I have been busy, and tomorrow I'm at a gig. I'm going to see one of my very, very favourite artists of all time, Catherine Joseph, who I think is incredible and slightly scary, which is a very good combination to have. So that's why I've not done one of these for almost a week. Actually, I've been busy because 3 gigs in a week. The last time I had 3 gigs in a week was early 2019, I think. And I don't feel that doesn't feel like 4 years ago. That feels like about 3 weeks ago, and at the same point about 50 years ago, given my age. And you will have noticed, or maybe you won't, that I'm wearing a Therapy t-shirt here. The design was removed because it violated a Therapy's terms of service, which seemed appropriate for my 250th YouTube video. So we're going to go into the questions that there are for Shirley Manson, and they're now questions for me. A couple of them obviously won't apply because I'm not a singer in the band Garbage. So there we go. So the first question is, where are you right now? Well, pretty obviously, I'm in my man cave, and my man cave is in the southeast of England. This is the room where I shoot almost all of my YouTube videos that hardly anybody watches. It's also the room where I do an awful lot of work. So when I'm working from home, I'm working at a desk that's over there, and it's all set up. I've got a couple of I've got a television, I've got a Blu-ray player, I've got a stereo, I've got a nice good desk spread so that I can spread out. Obviously laptop, phone, iPad, all that kind of stuff. This is where the magic happens. Well, sometimes the days aren't magic, but sometimes the magic happens, and sometimes I write creatively there as well. And it's where I do all my thinking, and the view that I've got out from there is the view which sometimes those of you that follow me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever's left of it this week, and Facebook will occasionally see is I've got a garden, and then on the back of the garden is a huge park, and to the side of that is an industrial estate, but we don't look at the industrial estate because it's not that pretty. Look at the garden, which is a nicer view, and the park, which is quite a lot of acres indeed. So that's where I am at home, southeast of England, about 10 p.m. on a Monday night. And what will I be doing after this? Well, what I'll be doing is I'll be uploading this, and then when I upload a video onto YouTube, I then also think about the description that I'm going to put on there. I try and think about the most appropriate thumbnail image which I'm going to have. So I suspect actually for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out a couple of my props. I'll do that, and then I'll stay completely still for a second. This is how it's done, folks. And then I just print screen and dump that into the computer, and then that becomes my my thumbnail image. And then I'll upload it to YouTube. I'll probably shave my head, then I'll brush my teeth, and then I'll have a wash, put on deodorant, and go to bed. So living the rock and roll dream, ready for work tomorrow. And so the third question is, what garbage song on Anthology is most surprising to you? Well, since I'm not in garbage and I haven't got a compilation album out, I can't answer that question. And I'll be skipping a couple of questions as we go further because they're very obviously questions for Shirley Manson. And number 4, the question is, do you have a favourite lyric that you've ever written? Well, the answer is yes and no. Sometimes when I write things, I have moments where I kind of think, oh, I think that one's quite good. I'd like to use that one in the context of a song. And for the wider thing, I write probably something maybe every 2 weeks or so, which means I write about 26 to 30 pieces a year. They tend to come very, very quickly. They tend to come in 10 to 15 minute bursts. I wrote one today actually whilst I was on the train in between Y and my actual station. In between 2 stations on my train. Came in about 6 minutes, fully formed, 10 lines, absolutely perfect. And I don't know where it came from. It just, all these ideas kind of cogitate in my brain, and then all of a sudden it just comes out very, very quickly. The one which I think resonates with me most closely, which I've written recently, I wrote on the 9th of October, and it's called Hospital of Broken Hearts, and I'm going to read it for you. So you've got to come up and see my etchings, of course. But this is, yeah, I'm going to read you poetry. If you want to skip it, it'll be about 2 minutes, by the way, and then I won't be doing this. One's called Hospital of Broken Hearts, and it's like, what if there were hospitals for the emotionally frail and broken of heart? What if there was an A&E with cups of tea and a friendly ear for all of us, when you can't see daylight in the daytime and all is dark, and you only know too far is too far, when you've gone far too far, when I've passed the line of no return, and all I want to do is turn back time to undo the things I've done and live a different life. The drunk far too much, said stupid shit, and lived too many lies, lied to myself about bad ideas, did what was wrong but felt right. You only know you've gone too far when you've gone far too far. Call 999, send me to the hospital for broken hearts. I need to feel some light, maybe to kiss a cat, tell it it's beautiful. These sunless nights, I need a broken heart hospital. When everything is far too hard, when everything seems to be too tough, I went far too far, and I only want to turn back. Take me to the hospital for broken hearts. Let's hug it out. Far too far, far too far. I went far too far, and I can't turn back. And that was Hospital of Broken Hearts, which I wrote on the 9th of October. And the idea being is that, you know, you've got an A&E if you break a leg. There's no A&E if you've got a broken heart, is there? There's no A&E if your hope's broken. You can't ring them up, and so somebody will see you in 4 hours, or somebody will see you in 3 hours, or 2 hours, or half an hour, and sort it out. And I think the world would be better if we recognised mental health as valid and as important as physical health. And so you had an A&E for broken hearts. So that's why Hospital of Broken Hearts is the title. So there you have. Question 6, I've missed 5 because it's about recording a Bond film. Question 6 is, what's the best thing about being the lead singer in a band? Well, I was a lead singer in a band. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I probably have. I wasn't particularly good. We sounded like a cross between Rage Against the Machine and Joy Division. And for me, the best thing about it was being able to convey ideas and themes, and to be, it just felt like, you know, when you make a genuine connection with a human being. There were a couple of moments when I was singing and I saw someone singing along, and it was the first time they'd heard the song, and I thought, oh, that is quite a moment. You know, that's quite exciting to see something which you've made and created on your own, and it communicates an idea to a human being. And I think the principal idea of all art is communication between human beings. So that was the best thing about it. The money was terrible. I think I made about £3.50 out of being in a band. And trust me, I did more than £3.50's worth of work in there. And then question 8 is, should you meet your heroes, by the way? I don't know is the short answer to that. I have met people that are probably in an artistic form. I regard them as heroes because what the work they've done has been very, very influential to me. But I don't regard those people as individuals as heroic, because they're not really. What I would have liked, I think, is if you only have 40 seconds to talk with somebody and they're your hero, it's really difficult to get 40 seconds worth out of that. If you sit down and have a half-hour conversation, for example, you could be like, we've really gone to some places which most people don't tend to go to. And to have, a very meaningful conversation about things which perhaps people normally. That's one of the things I find really frustrating is when you hear somebody who's famous or artistic being interviewed. The vast majority of the time, those conversations are very banal. They're very limited. They're very shallow, and you don't get a sense for the thing that makes that person unique. I really enjoy long form interviews. I think Mark Maron is particularly good at those. But he isn't always fully conversant with the artist, so sometimes his conversations kind of skirt around it. But long form interviews are really fascinating for me, especially where people talk about the artistic process and what they think and the ideas that come up in their minds around how they do things. So yeah, I think maybe you should meet your heroes, but be prepared to be disappointed. I've met people that are heroes to me, and the experience has been nothing really, because they didn't demonstrate that side of them in the very brief interaction I had with them. So yeah, there you go. And what did you learn growing up in Birmingham? Well, I learned quite a lot of things. The first one that I learned, it took me a little while to learn it. It took me leaving Birmingham to learn it. Is that my childhood was, whilst utterly normal to me, was quite strange and unusual. But everyone's childhood is unusual in whatever way that they live it, because it's both normal to them and completely unique. Now, there's common and shared things that happen in everybody's childhood. The bit where you first realise your voice is starting to break, or you're getting hairs in certain places, or the first time you kiss somebody, assuming you've ever been kissed, or those type of things. But what did I learn? What I learned was that life is both, both what we make it and also outside of our control as well. As Reg Holdsworth from Coronation Street said, it's not up to us the cards that we're dealt, it's how we play them that matters. And that's, I suppose, the thing that I learned. What would your parents like you to have done for a living? Well, I think my dad would have quite liked me to become Prime Minister. He would have quite liked me to be rich. He would have quite liked me to have done something that he could bask in the reflected glory of being, well, I'm that kid's da. But, my mum, I think what she wanted me to do was to make the most out of the talents that I had, to have gone as far as I could, and that's much nearer to who I am. I'm, not famous nor rich, but I am me, and I'm the best me that I can be, and that's probably as good as it can get. So what are you most proud of in your career? Well, I think the thing I'm most proud of is that every time I've been knocked to the floor, I've got up, I've kept getting up, and I've decided when the fight is done. Nobody else. Remember, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of it's not the size of the fight, it's the size of the fight and the dog that matters. And I've always had that thing to me. Now, who would play me in a movie of my life? Well, of course it would have to be Ewan McGregor, but he has hair and I don't, so I might have to revise it now into somebody else. And actually, I haven't got a clue. I'm sure I'll think of somebody. That gawky, wisecracking guy with glasses who's in the cop shows, always good with computers. That guy. That's probably who it would be, actually. And what's my biggest regret? There are people that I trusted who I later realised were untrustworthy and could not and shouldn't be trusted. And so my biggest regret is that trusting people with me and they didn't deserve it. Because trusting someone with who you are and your hopes and your dreams and your ambitions is the biggest trust that you can have. And sometimes people don't deserve that trust. What is the most important lesson that you've learnt? Always be true to yourself, isn't it? Always be who you are. If you can't be authentic, people will know, and they will be able to tell that a mile off and detect it, and they'll go, you're not being you. And there's been, situations where I haven't been my authentic self. I've been who I thought other people wanted me to be. And you always get noticed in that. People see who you are and who you are trying to be, and they always know if there's a gap. I think it's fair to say. 15. Would you ever go into politics? Well, I did think about that. I think I'd be really good at it. I think I'd certainly be less corrupt than the vast majority of the Kazakhstocracy that we've got in current politics. But no, I wouldn't go into it because my politics are generally liberal, generally left-wing, generally huggy, and they monster people like that because those people generally can't be bribed and can't be bought, and then it's very easy for people to go, oh, all politicians are the same, they're all in it to feather their own nest and to get rich. And that isn't the case. Some people genuinely just want to make the world a better place, but for people that are genuine, it's very easy for politicians to encounter the cynicism in people. Now, generally you think about politicians and you go, right, so what they often do is they often accuse the other guys of what they themselves are guilty of. So when they say, oh, politicians are all in it for themselves, generally it's the guys that say that are all in it for themselves, and they can't conceive of anybody else thinking in any different way to them. They think that, you know, the people that are, let's say, left-wing are going, well, they're fooling you, they're trying to deceive you, they want you to vote for them so that they can get rich. And it's like the rich guys, they're like that too. So the most important lesson, I've learned is about being authentic to yourself. Will I go into politics? No. And what do I look for in a political leader? Genuinely, I think integrity, honesty, following Nolan's 7 principles of public life, which is around doing things fairly and equally and with integrity and with selflessness. But generally what I want is there's a political theory which is about 2 puppies and a beer. And it is, would you trust this politician, a puppy or 2 beers, would you trust this politician to look after your puppy, or would you go for 2 beers with the politician? And if the answer is no, don't vote for the guy. That's what I look for in a political leader, somebody that I trust with a puppy, or somebody who I'd want to go for 2 beers with, and genuinely go for 2 beers with. And there's not many politicians that I feel that way about. Now, can someone be taught to be empathetic? No, I don't think they can. There are people that think that if you're nice, you're doing it because that gets you something from that person. And then there are other people that do it because they go, it doesn't have to benefit me, it just has to benefit the wider karmic debt that everyone has. And yeah, there you are. So 18, what is the vital ingredient that turns a good performer into a great performer? So this, I think about this in a word, compulsion. And that is when you're watching a great performer, you're watching somebody that is who they are. They're not faking it, they're not putting on a side of themselves. Who they are is somebody that really, really needs to communicate the idea that they've got. Whatever it is, be it music or lyrics or comedy or acting, they have to communicate that part of who they are, or those things which are embodied in their performance. Go, this is something that I believe in, that is really me, and this is something I want other people to know. And you can feel it burning out of other people. Some people are born to sing, some people are born to play guitar. That's who they are, that's who they're born to be. That is their most authentic and honest selves. And if they've got that compulsion, then you as somebody in the audience experiencing that, listening to it, and you're kind of going, that person really fucking means it. And sometimes that comes in the form of acting. So some of the Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Daniel Day-Lewis kind of parts, and you kind of go, that's a statement about their humanity, or how they see humanity, that they want everybody to see. And that's why Rocky 5 is not a good performance, or even a great performance, because there's nothing compelling about that apart from the fact that Sylvester Stallone wanted to make an enormous amount of money and hang around with a fucked up robot, which, by the way, isn't in the director's cut of Rocky 5, I believe. I think it's Rocky 5, could be Rocky 4, I don't care. Once you get past Rocky 1, they're all downhill pretty quickly. But the thing with a good performer as opposed to a great performance is compulsion. You believe that the person that's on stage is saying and doing the things that they're saying and doing because that is part of them, and the light pours out of them. And if the artist doesn't believe in it, they're not compelled to do it, they're not invested in it. You can feel that, and you can't fake that. You can see where people aren't fully engaged in the moment. I've been at shows where the artist isn't fully engaged in the moment. They don't fully believe the thing that they're saying or doing. And you can tell. I've always been able to tell. Sometimes I can tell when they're having bad days. You know, if you're Bon Jovi, no criticism of Bon Jovi here. Actually, a little bit of criticism of Bon Jovi. Is doesn't matter where Bon Jovi is. If it's a Tuesday or it's a Thursday. If it's Tokyo or Toronto, it's still the best fucking crowd he's ever played to. And he wants you to know that's going to be an incredible evening in your life, seeing the best rock and roll band in the world. I was like, can't you say it to all the girls? I don't believe you. So the thing that makes a good performer into a great performer is the compulsion, the need to do the thing, and the sense that they would do that thing whether they got paid for it or not. They just probably wouldn't do it quite so often if they didn't get paid for it. What's the point of Instagram? I don't know. Actually, that's question 19. I don't know what the point of Instagram is. I see things, I think they look good, I share them. Other people share things that they see that they think look good. It's kind of nice. I've not seen any negativity on Instagram. Can't say that about the hell site that is the bird site. And 20, what is the enemy of good music? Well, I staunchly believe in a universal basic income. I have seen some very, very talented people fall out of the music industry because of money. So the enemy of good music is money, the need to pay bills and put food on the table, and the lack of commercial success. I've seen some incredible bands, brilliant bands, play to like nobody. I've seen some mediocre, awful bands that don't realise they're mediocre play to 50,000 people. I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers, admittedly only for about 5 minutes, but I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers at one of the V festivals in 2003. They came on a couple of minutes before Underworld did in the other stage. And I watched them and I'm like, they're not good, you know? That quote from Nick Cave, which is, you know, everywhere I go, there's always some dreadful music coming out of the stereo, and I always ask, and the answer is always, it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's how I feel about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Terrible band. And so the enemy of good music is money and the need to pay bills. And I think if we had universal basic income, a lot more people would be freed from the shackles of finance and be able to create arts, be it poetry, be it, films, books, bad music, all those type of things. Money is the thing that is the enemy of good art. How did you learn to sing? Well, the short answer to that's question 21. Short answer to that is I didn't, and I never learned. And number 22, who is the most underrated singer that you know of? Well, probably Mike Patton. I think he's got a fantastic range, super versatile voice, works in near enough everything, but I think he's very well rated actually. So I think probably the most underrated singer that I know of is probably Bayley, actually, formerly of Iron Maiden, who I think has a brilliant voice and was brilliant in Iron Maiden, but because he didn't have the tenor range, he's a baritone, because he didn't have the tenor range of Bruce Dickinson, everyone was comparing him. And that's like comparing, a Formula One race car to a Range Rover. They're different vehicles, they do different things. I think Blaze is a phenomenal singer, and good God, the man absolutely means it. He really does. He's very, very underrated in this world. Is there anything you can't write a song about? That's question 23. Well, I'm terrible at writing about the actual mechanics of sex. I don't find it in any way interesting. I don't find it in any way gratifying. It's certainly not interesting for me to listen to. As much as I love Prince, every album or every song that he does where he's going to talk about how his invincible penis is supercalifragisexy, and I'm just sat there just going, I'm bored, mate. I'm not interested in the fact you've got the horn. And in fact, now that you're dead, it's slightly creepy, dude. Lay off. Not that he listens to me, because obviously he never listened to me when he was alive, doesn't going to listen to me when he's not alive. But the actual mechanics of sex is quite boring, really, to write about. There's a song by The Mission called Heaven Sends You, which is basically about kissing a woman in all the places that the guy wants to kiss her, and I'm kind of going, I don't want to know that. No, it's not interested. Lyrically, it's not interesting. And question 24, what is the core purpose of songwriting? Well, I think it's to communicate ideas and images, and to be able to show people a slightly different angle on reality, to be able to put a frame around a certain set of events or an ideas. And some of them are imaginary, some of them are real, and to be able to enlighten people and to go, people experience this, people think this, these are some ideas that there are. It's to, I think, shed light on corners of people's imaginations and to communicate between two human beings in a profound way. And sometimes the thing that is being received is not the thing that's being transmitted, but what matters is what the audience hear just as much as what the artist intends. And 25, how do you deal with hecklers? Well, harshly, I think. 26, do you ever get stage fright? Well, I do a fair chunk of work on stage for my work, and I never get stage fright because I never do things that I don't feel comfortable and confident in. And if I don't feel comfortable and confident in them, I don't do them, if that makes sense. You know, someone said to me, play an amazing guitar solo. Can't do that. It's not who I am. I'll go get somebody else to do it. But if someone said, you know, make an audience laugh, I can do that. That's quite easy. It doesn't always work. Not everyone has the same sense of humour, and it's knowing to try and when to read the audience and the crowd and to work out when somebody does have the sense of humour that works and when somebody doesn't. In 2022, what do you think the queerest of the queer is? Honestly, the queerest thing and the weirdest thing is the huge amount of sexual hypocrisy that exists in the super repressed. You'll often get, especially right-wing politicians in America, they seem to be very good at getting other people's wives or their mistresses pregnant and then talking about abortion rights and how all life is sacred and etc. etc. and only God can make a decision about that, and the body knows how to shut down the pregnancy and it's like, no, that's bullshit, and it's lies and it's hypocrisy and it's queer and it's weird and it's fucking scary and it needs to stop. You know, there's a great line in a song, American Crisis by Bob Mould, where he sings about pro-life until you're busting another man's wife, and it's like, yeah, that's it on a nail. You've hit the nail on the head there, as you know, the hypocrisy of sexual politics. And this isn't about, you know, how you treat people, because how you treat people is different from this, but the queerest thing is around that very, very specific element of being very moralistic, very crusading, very you know, oh, I'm a man and people can't have abortions and people can't, and I'm very, and then you find out that you end up, you've got like 6 mistresses pregnant in the time that's been happening. I believe very clearly in the Tower of Bill and Ted, which is be excellent to one another, which is kind of a nice way of saying treat as you want to be treated. But I find that just queer and weird and scary. So yeah, question 28, what is society? Well, obviously Margaret Thatcher said there's no such thing as society, but society to me is that kind of that fabric that binds us all together. The thing that is society is more than the sum of its parts. I think we've got 2 people and then suddenly they're a couple, and then they become something that's much more powerful than 2 people multiplied by each other. It's like 2 people squared, and then suddenly you've got this little unit and this little world and this little home, and society is almost like a global version of that. Now we've still got a couple of global village idiots in Elon Musk and Donald Trump, who I'm not fans of either of them, and certainly the thing with Elon Musk and Twitter at the moment has proved to me, as if I needed any confirmation, that you know, the richest guy is most definitely not the smartest guy in the room. But with society, what we have is this sense, this fabric, which somehow exists around these little individual souls on the planet doing their best to make the best worlds that they can for themselves and everybody else, which of course is the world that we live in. Who is your number 1 crush? Can't tell you, by the way. And I won't tell you. I suspect they might know, but I also suspect they don't. But I'm not going to tell you. What is the best pop song ever written? I don't like lists. Pop is a very nebulous idea, very difficult to describe, very difficult to put your thumb on and go, that's pop. I think the best pop writers of all time are, I think it's Lamont and Dozier, the people that did the Motown, and then we've got Stock Aitken and Waterman that did those fantastic songs in the 80s. If you took the production values away from Stock Aitken and Waterman and you just listen to songs like I Should Be So Lucky, Never Gonna Give You Up, Nothing Can Divide Us, all those, they're classic songs, all of them. So I think that they're the best. Actually, Stockacre and Waterman are probably the best songwriting team which I've ever heard. I just wish they had better production. But I think probably the best. I'm gonna go for it now actually, which is my favourite. I think the best pop song ever written is actually by Kylie Minogue, and I think it is. I think just off the top of my head, I think it's going to be On a Night Like This, because I don't think there's any song that quite captures just the glorious kind of head rush of falling in love in the way that she sings like this. You kiss me, I'm falling, can you hear me calling? You touch me, I want you, it feels like I've always known you, and on a night like this I want you to stay forever. And that's one of the, I mean, if you think about what pop is, I mean, obviously pop is both art, it's transient, it's fleeting, it's not meant to be remembered in the morning, but at the same point, pop songs are like someone put an adrenaline rush, or maybe put caffeine onto a disc, and played it. And On a Night Like This is one of the songs that, for me at least, really captures just the adrenaline rush of falling in love in a way that very few other songs do. So I think it's one of the best pop songs ever written. Okay, question 32. Question 31. What was the last film to make you cry? There is one film that consistently always does it for me, which is David Lynch's The Elephant Man. The last few minutes of that, oh man, some of the most incredible filmmaking ever made. If I was going to have a bit from a film shown at my funeral, it would be the last few minutes of The Elephant Man, the bit where he's coming to the end of his life and he tries to sum up his experience being a human, being regarded by others as hideous and horrible, but at the same point, being full of joy that had all these wonderful experiences that were so far beyond his imagination. And that's how I see my life. Every time that just someone throws sand in my eye every time I watch it. It really does. And then the other one is actually a section from this not particularly well remembered film now, The Hours, which takes its idea from, it's not the days, it's not the years or the weeks or the months, it's the hours that are the most difficult thing. And there's just this scene where Ed Harris is really struggling with being alive. He's sat on a ledge, and then he's not sat on a ledge, and it's just like, damn it, that guy tried really hard and he couldn't help himself. And if you're a human being that's ever been through the process of considering weighing up the options around staying alive on this planet, that little scene, it's a minute, 2 minutes, and then it's like, wow, that really sums up the whole thing. So yeah, number 32, what's the nicest thing someone's given to me? I think the nicest thing that anyone's ever given me is them, is who they are, and that they've looked at me and they've said, yeah, I'm going to do this with you, I'm going to go through this world with you. That person kind of looked at me and thought, I trust that guy, I think he's a good one. And that's the most amazing thing, because when somebody gives you gives you their hopes and their dreams and their life and their money and their power and their sex and their religion and justice and death, and wow, right, I've reeled off Panic Nero by Pet Shop Boys, but it's when somebody trusts you and they go, I trust you, I'm going to throw my lot in with you, and we're going to go together on this adventure. That's the nicest thing. Who do you call when you need a really, really good time? I don't know, I'm quite old now, actually. Yeah, my best friends, and they know that, and we have really good times almost all of the time, and I'm really lucky to have those. What do you do if you get an unexpected day off? Well, the first thing is sleep, and the second thing is whatever the hell I want. Want to eat sweets? Eat sweets. It's one of the great things about being an adult, I guess I'm an adult now, is behind these four walls, I'm really not answerable to anyone apart from the people that I share these four walls with. It's a pretty chilled and relaxed environment here. If I want to go and talk into my mobile phone to strangers on the internet for 45 minutes, I can do that, and that's totally fine. Ultimately, it's freedom is what I do with an unexpected day off. It's just freedom from other people's demands and expectations. Question 36, I'll skip 35. Question 36, what's your worst habit? I am a fidgeter, and I know that. I can't do anything about it. What's on your bucket list? Well, it's to be happy. It's to enjoy my time on the planet. And when I get to the end of it, is to go, yeah, I had an incredible time. And that's how I feel about the world these days. Is, you know, I've had an incredible journey. Some parts of it have been absolutely fucking awful, but many parts of it have been wonderful. And I have experienced many, many things which many humans would never get to experience. And that's not a criticism of them, it's just I've been very lucky, and also I kind of know that. So, yeah, and what most defines the 90s? Noel Gallagher's Union Jack guitar, I think, probably most defines the 90s for me, and that's not always necessarily a positive thing. Yeah, what is the most overrated thing in the world? Well, I think money. I mean, obviously not having money is really, really important, but money in itself is, to quote the great Misshapes by the finest living Englishman, Jarvis Cocker, now that Stephen Fry has been deposed, is, what's the point of being rich if you don't know what to do with it? Money without imagination is pointless. There's no point having it. Okay, so question 40. How would you explain the concept of gender to an alien that has just landed on the Earth? Yeah, I have no idea how I can explain gender, really. It'd be like, there's two people, one slightly different from the other, and that means that they both have separate ideas around what being the other means. That's it. What we forget is we're all humans. We're on this huge primordial sea, stuck in a ball of rock, orbiting a ball of fire, in the middle of a vast swathe of blackness. I'm also available for children's parties. How do we bring down the patriarchy? Okay, so this is a good question. It's question 41. How we bring down the patriarchy is, to be honest, dead fucking simple. You change the preconceptions and the biases that people have around gender identity. You look at things like childcare, and you look at things like wage slavery, and you look at equality within wages, and then you also actually become, the power dynamic becomes a lot more relaxed around men and women, and it doesn't matter what your gender is. What matters is what you say. People earn roughly the same amount of money, give or take, but obviously to each according to its ability, to each according to its needs. You look at nationalising things like childcare, for example, paternity and maternity leave. You extend that. That's how you smash the patriarchy. You then also think about having remembered what somebody said about the film Alien, which was a bunch of stupid men who think they're clever don't listen to a woman and they all die. It's really, really important to canvass full opinions from people, and I think that's one of the main ways that you get rid of the patriarchy. You know, you look at a lot of very public, very visible art, music, film direction, comedy, very male-centric, and there's a lot of brilliant, talented people that don't get an opportunity to show that talent because of things. Also, think about some of the cleverest and most talented people I've ever met have found themselves, you know, held back by an unforgiving society because of things like childcare. You know, those are the kind of things where you need to smash the patriarchy. Really, is that you get rid of the concepts of male exceptionalism, and I think people that are terrified of equality, people that are terrified of smashing the patriarchy, are often mediocre guys that realise that in an equal world their number would be up, and that they wouldn't have the experiences and power and money that they do. There are some very, very mediocre men in positions of great power and authority, and we need to challenge that and smash it. We really, really absolutely do. Poverty is sexist. Poverty is one of the big things which causes problems. Childcare is as well, the idea that it's only women that can look after children. No, it absolutely isn't. And we also need actually to also change the gender balance in terms of the employment situation. So I think employers generally, not my current employer, but employers generally need to look away from the idea that if a guy goes home to put his kids to bed, he's a wimp. No, he isn't. He's a good, honest, responsible human being. You know, there is no shame or harm in somebody saying, actually, I need to leave work and look after the kids or pick up the kids from school. I've always kind of fought quite hard for that wherever it's been possible, but because I've operated inside a sexist patriarchal society, irrespective of all other things, there have been times where I've just had to go to work because I earn more money and the society is biased in that way. So smash the patriarchy, comrades. Is bigger always better? Question 42. No, it isn't. 43. What is the campest thing you've ever seen? Well, on a screen, probably the video for Army of Lovers Crucified is probably the campest thing I've ever seen. In person, that's difficult. Nothing really leaps out at me, but I've definitely seen some very camp things. Are you a tidy person or a messy person? Question 44. I'm very tidy. Because I lived in a very small room when I was growing up. I didn't have much, and I needed to be very meticulous, I needed to be very ordered, and I needed to have a structure, because if I didn't, firstly I would lose things, secondly the room was so small that if I put an LP down on the bed, the room was full, and that was quite a depressing thought. It really was. What is your most treasured possession? Well, in terms of possession, it is my integrity and the person that I am. The thing that scares me the most is something like dementia or Alzheimer's, where you start to lose parts of your memories or your cognitive abilities. So my most treasured possession is my brain, because I literally spent all my life inside my head experiencing my brain, and I wouldn't want to lose any parts of that. Of everyone you've met, who had the most star quality? Ooh, that is good. That's really good. So there's a couple of people that I've met that when they walked into a room, to me at least, the room changed completely. You know, the composition of atoms changed in the room, the structure of the room changed. And I've been very lucky to have been in a relationship with more than one person who had that star quality. But you know, of famous people that you will recognise, probably Larry Mullen, actually, from U2, because he was just, I'm going to do my thing, and you know, not going to be rude about it, but I'm just going to do the thing that I want to do. And I didn't really care too much about what other people, not in a rude way, just in a very self-possessed, knows his own mind, knows what he's going to do thing. Henry Rollins actually had a lot of star quality, I think. He's a very intense guy, but he's very much kind of like the lyric to the song is, there's no such thing as downtime, there's only lifetime. Go. He was very engaged with what was happening around him. So yeah, he was very good. And there was a guy that I used to work with who, when I met him, and I thought, yeah, you're really good at this, you know, and not in a show-offy way, but you gave him a problem and he was like, I got it, no problem, I know what I need to do. That's really good, really inspiring, actually. So question 47 is, do you like being called an icon? Well, I'm not, and nobody calls me that, so it's irrelevant. Who is the most rebellious person alive? No idea. Joe Lycett, probably. He's got our back. And the thing that he's done very recently with exposing the hypocrisy of David Beckham taking up however many millions he's taken off Qatar to represent what is generally an oppressive country, has been rebellious. It'd be very easy to tick a box and to say, right, we're going to go and do the party line here, we're going to go and do what's expected of us, but he didn't, and that's good. So what's the key to lasting the distance? Well, Shirley's answer is tenacity. I agree with that fully. The key to lasting the distance is knowing how far you've got to go and being able to just keep going. Keep fucking going, as Idol said. You know, one of the things is, as we get older, the world's perception of us changes. Our perception of us changes. Who we are changes. So the key to lasting the distance is being very grounded, having your feet on the ground, knowing the changes that are going to take place around you, being connected to those changes, not being afraid of them, and then leaning into who you are always going to be. So over time, I have kind of like the big slab of granite or marble or stone or whatever it is that you've chipped away eventually all the bits that don't look like yourself. And then you get to a certain point and you go, I think that's me. And the key to lasting the distance is knowing who you are and working to achieve that, whoever that person is, and being the best version of you that you can be. Don't try to be anybody else, just try to be yourself. Finally, question 50. Did you enjoy this? Yes, I did. As you've probably noticed, I love the sound of my own voice. I love passing off opinions that none of you have asked for, and hardly any of you will watch. But here we are. I enjoyed it. And because I'm not talking about a song or an album or anything like that, it's probably given you a better opportunity to grasp some of the things about me that don't always come out in these. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. Tomorrow I'm at a gig, and so I don't know what the next one's going to be, number 251. I suspect I'm going to be talking about your man Bono and the book, what he wrote, Surrender. But I don't know yet. I guess I'll find out when I get that far. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other. Stay beautiful. Thank you for watching it if you made it to the end. If you didn't, and see you all later. Okay, bye.